Alright, hi people, it's Shakes here, and I'm here to do an unboxing and review for you guys of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection Wild Force Blue Ranger. I've got a few things to say. Second Wild Force Ranger released for this line. I was expecting Wild Force Red before any of the other colors, considering, the Lunar Wolf Ranger, aka Wild Force Silver, was, released first, but, hey, not necessarily complaining. So, yeah, especially when Wild Force is one of my favorite seasons of Power Rangers, so, yeah. So anyways, we got the box right here with the artwork of the Ranger right there. Power Rangers Lightning Collection logo, Wild Force Blue Ranger. Yeah, so you got the side right here with more of this picture, and it has the Wild Force logo right there. And the other side with him again, and this side with the figure pose and everything, which is good. So yeah, so then we get to all these. The action effect piece for the sword. This is just one of these. I think we've had this before, but I don't know if we've had it in red, or not red, yellow. So yeah, two claw hands, which are nice, although they kind of took the claws off, because I think they had versions of these for the Lunar Wolf Ranger, but they just don't have the claws on them. Granted, it makes more sense for him to have them, but yeah. We got the Blue Shark fighting fins, or basically they're tonfas, but yeah, and these are actually really cool. I do like each of the personalized weapons for each of the Rangers. Then we get this sword. It's really weird for the sword, because in the show, basically, Hasbro colored this wrong. In the show, these have, I think these do have silver grips right here for the things right here for them to actually grip onto. And the crystal is what's supposed to be colored, different colors. And I don't know if they necessarily wanted to just leave the crystal in, because they're called the Crystal Sabers. I don't know if they necessarily wanted to leave the animal crystal uncolored. It's actually funny, they don't have any paint on the side for the gold paint. And they just wanted to paint the grip, but it's really weird that they decided to just, or they could have painted this, this might actually be black, but I can't remember. It's either black or gold. But then the crystal on the inside it should be blue. But they didn't color it right, and I don't know what reference photos they were using. I don't know if they were specifically, like, going off of something, or they just wanted to get creative with how they did the figure. But what I expect to happen is when they get back to Wild Force at some point, because of how inconsistent some of these figures will be from the same teams, where sometimes, like, weapons will be colored slightly differently, or done in a slightly different mold or something, or the bits of the suits will be colored differently as well from each other. I expect the next figure might fix that problem. If they do like Wild Force Red, for instance, I would expect them to color the thing right, but then have the crystal in the middle be red. I kind of expect them to do that at some point. I don't know if it's going to be the next one, but at some point I expect them to do it right, because they generally use reference photos from either Power Rangers or Super Sentai to get these right. And for the most part, they do a good job. It's just that some things they just screw up on, and I don't understand. This was a thing that was pointed out to them, I believe, as well, when there was a photo tweeted out at the beginning of this year, I think, for Power Rangers Day and everything, or maybe it was back in August. It was Power Rangers Day, or the We Love Power Rangers hashtag was going on Twitter, and they decided to tweet out a picture announcing this figure, and people noticed it, and I think they tried to tell Hasbro beforehand, but for some reason they didn't care to fix it, and I don't know why. Sometimes they can catch it early on if it's early on enough in production. That I think they could correct ones that have already been made and then have the newer ones be corrected, kind of like Wild Force Silver, having like 5 stripes in the initial promo pictures, but then they mostly fix that but it's to the point where there's like 4 variants you could run into. One's correct, the other 3 are not, so I don't know. Sometimes they catch these things, sometimes they don't, sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. It's weird. And then sometimes you get helmet discrepancies, like on the Dino Thunder White Ranger or the A-Squad Pink Ranger. So, yeah. So then we have the civilian head for Max, and I think they actually did a good job at capturing the actor's likeness. They got his hair right as well. So that's interesting. Because he has a hairstyle very distinct from one of the other black actors from the franchise. So yeah. So here we go with the figure itself, and I think that actually looks really good. Honestly, they captured the likeness pretty well. He has 3 stripes on this gold sash here, although that's a bit of a paint application error, where the gold got a bit stupid. Trying to have this thing focus. I guess it won't. Okay, there we go, I guess. Just have it be a little bit distant to the camera. But yeah, that's... But it looks like everything else is actually pretty good in regards to the figure itself. The belt actually looks really good. Like, they definitely had a good, like, sculpt for that ready. I assume from Wild Force Silver. But yeah. The holster, though, is not the correct one. It's just one of the generic holsters. In fact, it's the same holster that they have on the Zeo Rangers. Hold on. Because I have these on... Actually, it's not exactly the same one on the Zeo Rangers. But I have Zeo Red right here. It's a very similar one to the Zeo Rangers. It's just a little bit fatter, which it's supposed to hold the sword, but the sword does not want to readily stay in here because that's too wide for it. But if the holster had been more this size, it would have been perfect. But the holster is also not accurate to the costumes from the actual show and Gower Ranger, or for Wild Force and Gower Ranger. So, good job. Good job. And that was another thing, I believe, that people pointed out to them online, but they didn't bother to fix it. I expect future Wild Force figures will probably fix it, but who knows? And who knows if there will be a redo of this figure with the correct holster. But yeah, you can see it's just really, really loose. And it sucks because the other figures that come with holsters for their weapons, because the suits had them, had correct holsters and correct sizes for the holsters, or at least holsters that held the weapons. It's really stupid. But otherwise, I think that this is actually really good. And they have the sash going all around. It's actually really nice. I like the Wild Force / Gower Ranger suits, and this is actually really good. Camera's making it look more blue than it is, but it's a nice figure and everything. So yeah, so for articulation, his neck goes all the way, because I think this is the new, like, ball joint that they have in here. So they have, the head can go back and forth all the way, rather than just slightly up or slightly down. Yeah, and it can go to 360 and everything. The arms can go basically in a 180, although this joint for his arm is out more than it should be. The figure was, like, really weird when it came in. I don't know what the hell is going on there. Yeah, it's out more than it should be. That is weird. Yeah, it's fine but at the same time, it's not. Where's this? I don't know. I was thinking maybe it's upside down? I don't know. That's weird. But yeah. So, you can twist this in a 360. Double ball joint for the elbows as per usual. So, yeah. Then the hands can go in a 360. It's a little tight. Should be able to go back and forth, but doesn't look like it's going to. Yeah. And the torso, you can move back and forth like this, pretty much all around as well. So, yeah. And the legs can go 90 degrees that way. These can go in a 360 for the legs. Double ball joints for the knees and everything. So yeah, then the feet can go back and forth like that, like always. And he can break his ankle. So, yeah. Okay, so this isn't on the new ball joint, it's just that his neck is different. Don't like how easily that came off, or the sound it made when it came off, but whatever. So yeah, so if you wanted, you could pose him with the new the helmet, which I've seen someone post on Twitter a picture of him doing the morph pose with the civilian head on, which is actually really nice. The morphs in Wild Force for the footage that they used were specifically they just used the footage from Galranger and just copied and pasted the actors' heads. Like they took photos, I guess, in front of a green screen of the actors' heads and just put them on the suit actors for Galranger's bodies. But yeah, so you got that. So overall, this figure, for me, at the very least, remember these kind of are your mileage may vary kind of thing. Figure's a little inconsistent. Although the problems on all of them will be the things with mainly just the sword, which you could just, I guess, repaint if you know how to paint them. But the holster's weird. It's also part of the belt mold, so can't really fix it unless you, like, I don't know, 3D print a new belt, take it apart, and then put the new belt on and then reassemble it, which would be just a lot of work. I don't understand why sometimes these things slip through the cracks. A lot of QC issues with the Lightning Collection figures, and it gets worse when they don't do figures from the same teams within a given year span of, like, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. And then it can vary from figure to figure because they use different reference photos for each time that they make a new figure for some reason, and don't really care to, like, or at least seemingly don't really care to keep things consistent across the line sometimes. It's really weird. But at the very least, the figure looks good, in my opinion. As a Wild Force fan, I'm really glad that they turn out as well as they did, or as they do, because they're some of the best suits, I think, in Power Rangers and Sentai history, so, yeah, but, yeah, so, up to you if you want to get one, or want to look around and get one, so, yeah, so, really not much else to say, so, links in the description on my shit, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next one.